Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on, well, a bit of a monumental linguistic mission.
It is a big one.
Our goal isn't just to learn a few new words, but to really master the art of speaking them. We've been handed this comprehensive list, 100 of the trickiest, most frequently mispronounced words in English.
And we are focusing on one very specific standard. It's the, let's say, rigorous yet sometimes frustrating rules of British English pronunciation.
Right.
Our source material for this draws on some fantastic expert guidance, and it's heavily referencing the standards set by, for instance, the Oxford Learner's Dictionary. So we can give you the precise sound structure you need for clarity and, I think, credibility.
And this isn't just about sounding fancy, is it? I mean, this is about eliminating that friction between what you see on the page and what you hear and say.
Exactly.
We're calling this the triple threat goal for you, the learner. First, we want you to be able to internalize and understand 100 advanced words. Second, to integrate them into your active vocabulary. And third, and this is the crucial part for today, pronounce all 100 words flawlessly according to that British standard.
The value here, which the sources really underline again and again, is purely auditory. When you encounter words like subtle or, my favorite, pew.
Oh, don't get me started on Q.
I mean, these are words that betray all common sense spelling. You just cannot rely on your eyes. By hearing the correct British sound, you're building an auditory framework that just, well, it works wonders for your comprehension.
I see. So if you know the exact sound pattern, you're far more likely to recognize that word instantly when, say, a native speaker says it at speed.
That's the idea. You hear it, you know it, no hesitation.
So let's get straight into it. We're starting in part one with a category that I think is probably responsible for, 90% of all pronunciation errors?
I'd say so.
We're calling them the silent traps. These are the classic examples where the spelling completely leads you down the wrong path, and you have to just suspend your expectations and trust the historical rule.
Absolutely. And we've organized this first batch of words into what we're calling Category A, the silent letter syndicate.
I like that.
These are words that feature a common consonant that's explicitly written down, but completely disappears in standard British English speech.
Let's start with a trait that is vital to domestic life. Plumber. We all know a plumber. The person whose job it is to fix our toilets, our water pipes, everything that causes stress in a home. Now, the common error is sounding out that final B sound. Why is it even there if it's silent?
Well, the B is it's what you call a linguistic fossil. The word comes from Old French, plumier, and then ultimately from the Latin plumbarius, which refers to lead.
Because of lead pipes.
Exactly, because early plumbing systems used lead pipes. So when the English version of the word solidified, the spelling kept that Latin root letter, the B, but the sound itself was already lost through, vocal reduction over centuries.
So in standard British English, that B is absolutely silent.
Completely silent. It's pronounced plumma, with a short closed vowel, and critically, no aspiration on that final B whatsoever.
So if I hear someone pronounce the B, I know they're either a new learner or perhaps, following an older, less common dialect? It's a clear marker.
It's a very clear marker, yes.
Okay. Following a similar pattern, let's look at salmon.
Salmon, yes. The large fish with silver skin and pink flesh. It follows the same rule, but with a different letter. This time it's the L.
Right.
Phonetically, you might want to say salmon, seems logical, but in British English, the L is silent. It's completely absorbed by the vowel, so it's pronounced samun, often with a very open A sound, almost like amun.
What fascinates me is the consistency here. I mean, is the historical reason for the silent L similar to the silent B in plumber?
Precisely. This L is often lost when it sits between certain vowels and consonants, and it's a pattern that stretches way back to early modern English. It's similar to how the L is often treated in words like calm or palm.
I see.
The disappearance of that liquid L sound just helps to simplify the consonant cluster. It makes articulation smoother, especially in rapid speech.
Moving on to subtle. This word means something that is not very noticeable or obvious. You want your work to be subtle, not your pronunciation to be jarring.
Subtle. The silent B strikes again, sitting right there in the middle, just ready to trick you.
Yes.
It's pronounced subule. Again, this comes from the Latin subtilius. The B was fully pronounced in Latin, but when it entered French and then English, that transition of the B followed by the T proved, well, a bit cumbersome.
A bit of a mouthful.
Exactly. And so the B was dropped entirely in speech, though the spelling remained for etymological reference.
So we have to train our brains. A B before a T or at the end of a word like plumber is a bit of a warning sign.
It is, yes.
Now, a word that confuses people right at the start, heir.
Heir. Defined as the person who has the legal right to receive money, property, or a title when someone dies. Here, the challenge is the initial consonant, the H.
That just vanishes.
It's completely silent, making the word sound identical to heir. And this is a result of Norman French influence. After the Norman conquest, many French words entered English, and those starting with an H often lost that sound.
A phenomenon called H-dropping.
Exactly. It's still prevalent in some regional UK dialects, but here it is the standard. You must pronounce it as air, maintaining that smooth vowel onset.
And lastly, for this first group, a common connective word. Albeit, we see it a lot in sophisticated writing, meaning simply although.
Right. While it looks like two separate words fused together, it's pronounced as a quick two-syllable unit, albeit.
Albeit.
The trap is often oversimplifying the middle vowel, or, misstressing it. But the structure is fixed,
Yeah.
all followed by bit, keeping the stress firmly on that first syllable. It's a really easy way to elevate your written or spoken sophistication, provided you nail that pronunciation.
Okay, let's pivot a bit to category B. Here, the difficulty isn't really silence, but what you might call hidden letter sounds challenging clusters, or vowels that just don't behave as you'd expect.
A good example would be a common word like jewelry. Objects like rings and necklaces people wear as decoration.
Right.
In British English, this is often compressed. While you could say it has 3 syllables, joaillerie, fast standard speech, frequently reduces it. It becomes more like 2.5 syllables, often blending those middle vowels. The key is avoiding that overly slow, very distinct 3-syllable American structure.
And what about its decorative counterpart, lingerie, women's underwear?
This is a direct French borrowing. And unlike some other French words we'll get to, this one has been highly anglicized, but the pronunciation is still a challenge. The end sound is the tricky part.
Oh, so?
It's pronounced lingerie, and you have to maintain that soft z sound, similar to the middle of the word measure, rather than a hard G sound.
I see. How about the most basic item of daily life, clothes?
The definition couldn't be simpler. Things you wear. The pronunciation, however, is anything but.
Yeah, that one always gets me.
The difficulty is that forced combination of the voiced the sound, immediately followed by the Z sound for the plural. Learners often stumble trying to articulate the cluster fizzy.
So what do we do?
We essentially skip the vowel entirely and just smash the consonants together. Cloths.
Yeah.
It's a very quick, dense sound cluster, which is probably why it so often sounds just like the word clust.
And picture. A painting, drawing, or similar image.
Picture presents a classic case of consonant cluster difficulty. The j sound is often pronounced picture. The two sound is almost absorbed into the following yi sound to create a tree sound.
Picture.
Getting that short I followed by the slight chur sound is a distinct marker of precise articulation. You want to avoid the common mistake of reducing that middle vowel too much. Okay, moving into category C, we find what we're calling the food and fauna puzzles. These are words tied to nature and diet, where international origins or historical shifts just make them defy standard English phonetics.
I see almond on the list, the flat, pale, sweet nut. We discussed the silent L in salmon earlier. Does that same rule apply here?
It does, yes. Consistently with the strict British standard. While the L is often pronounced in American English, in the classic RP, or received pronunciation standard, the L is silent, or at least barely perceptible. It leans towards amund, or amund.
So it's another example of that historical liquid consonant being reduced.
Yeah, that's right.
Then there is that beautiful but tricky floral word, anemone. A small plant with red, white, blue, or purple flowers shaped like cups.
The issue with anemone is all about vowel flow and where you place the stress. Learners often stress the second syllable, but the correct pronunciation places the stress on the third syllable.
Anemone.
Anemone. The word has a Greek origin, and maintaining that fluid chain of vowels is really the key to mastering it.
Next up, the fruit that betrayed me as a child, raspberry.
The beautiful, small, dark red, soft fruit. This is a classic silent letter setup. The P is completely silent.
Right.
If you pronounce the P, so raspberry, you're revealing that you're relying on the spelling. The correct pronunciation is raspberry.
Raspberry.
And what's key here isn't just the silent P, but also the phenomenon of vowel reduction in that middle syllable. We often replace the written vowel with a schwa sound. Huh.
We also find difficulty in staple foods, like yolk, the round yellow part in the middle of an egg.
Just like salmon and almond, the L in yolk is silent. It's pronounced york, so it rhymes with poke. The L is present purely because of its Old English history, but it stopped being articulated hundreds of years ago in this context.
And one of the trendiest food words of the past decade, quinoa.
This is a South American plant grown for its seeds, and it presents a significant challenge because it retains its original Quechua language pronunciation.
So it's not quinoa.
No, it demands a quinoa pronunciation. It resists that natural English impulse to turn qui into quin or qua. Mastering this requires you to accept a sound that is wholly external to typical English phonetics, giving that short E sound on the first syllable.
Finally, we hit the classic dialectical dividing line, herb.
A plant whose leaves, flowers, or seeds flavor food or medicine. Following our source's British guidance, we must pronounce the H, so herb, herb. This is the decisive factor that differentiates British from American English, where the H is dropped herb, which is influenced by French vocabulary, where the H is often silent. In the UK, we retain that initial aspiration.
That initial H aspiration is a great linguistic anchor for our learner. We've covered almost 20 words just focusing on these native English pitfalls, and the takeaway is clear. The history of the language, not the current spelling, dictates the sound.
Absolutely. And if part 1 was about linguistic history, part 2 was all about linguistic borrowing. Specifically, the words we took from other languages, mainly French, and decided to keep the original non-English pronunciation rules.
Right. Category D, the French influence. This contains words often associated with high culture, diplomacy, or sometimes, as we'll see, pure embarrassment. These are formal terms where getting the pronunciation wrong is particularly noticeable.
We have to begin with the word for sudden political upheaval, coup, defined as a sudden change of government that is illegal and often violent.
The silent letters here are just so glaring. A final P and an E?
Exactly, straight from the French. The final 2 letters are completely silent, leaving a single closed-off vowel sound. Coup.
Ooh.
The difficulty arises if the speaker tries to anglicize it, maybe sounding out the P. Mispronouncing this can significantly undermine the gravity of the term. You'd be reducing a serious political event to a clumsy utterance.
Similarly, the decorative word, bouquet. A bunch of flowers arranged attractively.
Same French rule. You silence the final T. It is pronounced bouquet. This is where we learn that the French influence often just overrides our English rule of sounding out every consonant.
Then there's the social contract word, rendezvous, an arrangement to meet someone at a particular place and time.
This word is a complex loan word. It maintains subtle nasal French vowel sounds, which, to be honest, English speakers struggle to reproduce accurately. Importantly, the final S is silent.
So how do we say it?
It's often simplified in English to rendezvous. The key to the British standard pronunciation is maintaining a soft flow and avoiding hard, anglicized ziz sounds. Now, the word for a social misstep, faux. The definition itself is powerful, an action or remark that causes embarrassment because it's not socially correct.
This is a textbook example of sticking to French phonetics. Both the X and the S are silent. It literally translates to false step.
And we pronounce it
Faux pas. Trying to sound out any of those final letters is a guaranteed social blunder. You'd be committing the very thing the word describes.
I sometimes hear people try to put an R sound in the middle of genre, a particular type or style of film, art, music, or literature.
That is the temptation, isn't it? The initial G is soft, and it flows into a subtle ziz sound. It's pronounced zonru. The difficulty is integrating that soft, fricative z sound, borrowed from French, into the typical English J or G sounds. That's what causes the issue. And the most frequently butchered coffee order, espresso. A strong black coffee made by forcing steam or boiling water through ground coffee beans.
If you hear espresso, the person is wrong. There is no X sound. The source makes that abundantly clear. It's simply espresso with the stress on the second syllable. The mistake likely comes from conflation with words like express or extrude, but espresso is Italian in origin, meaning pressed out, and that X sound is entirely foreign to its root.
Finally, in this category, the hotel service term, valet, a man employed for cleaning or laundering for hotel patrons.
Like bouquet, the T is silent in standard British usage. It's pronounced
Valet?
However, it's worth noting the interesting linguistic compromise here. When valet refers to a car parking service, particularly in North America, the T is often pronounced. But when it's referring to a personal servant or a hotel attendant, the French silent T usually holds fast here in the UK. Okay, let's move to category E power, structure and social standing. These are formal terms used in academic, governmental, or corporate settings where accuracy really reinforces the weight of your words.
We start with elite, the small in number but powerful or influential group due to wealth or intelligence.
The error here is almost always misstressing the word. It must be stressed on the second syllable.
Elite. Elite.
If you stress the first syllable, it just sounds less formal, less precise, and we're looking for precision in this kind of high-stakes vocabulary.
And the concept of structural organization, hierarchy, a system where people are organized into different levels of importance, from highest to lowest.
The difficulty here is managing that cascade of vowels and syllables while making sure the stress falls firmly on the first syllable. Hi-H-Ruki.
Hi-H-Ruki.
The common mistake is overemphasizing the internal syllables. The British standard involves a reduction of those unstressed internal vowels to maintain speed and clarity.
Then the term often used in legal or political discussions. Prerogative, a right or advantage belonging to a particular person or group because of their importance or social position.
This word demands careful articulation. The key is in the middle. Pre-R-A-T-I-V. Many people mistakenly aspirate the second R too heavily, or they simplify the succative ending. That stress on the second syllable is essential for this four-syllable word.
And the term often linked to extreme nationalism, chauvinism, an aggressive and unreasonable belief that one's country is better than all others.
While it contains a French root, the word is fully anglicized. But the initial sound does retain that French influence. The show sounds like show, leading to chauvinism.
Ah, so the mistake is pronouncing the shoes as in church.
Exactly.
Finally, regime. A method or system of managing or organizing something, though we often associate it with political rule.
The soft G sound is crucial here. The word is pronounced ruzihim, stressing the second syllable and ensuring that Z sound, similar to lingerie or genre. If you use a hard G, you just lose the formal nuance of the word.
That section really shows us that mispronunciation doesn't just confuse, it strips words of their power. If you are discussing the hierarchy of a company or a presidential prerogative, you really need that precision.
Precisely. Pronunciation is a demonstration of ownership over the vocabulary. And if parts 1 and 2 were about linguistic tricks and social context, part 3 takes us deep into the world of technical clarity science, geography, and abstract thought.
Okay, category F focuses on scientific and medical vocabulary. Here, words are often long, usually derived from Greek or Latin, and absolutely vital for, well, life-saving clarity.
Let's start with a medical term demanding absolute precision. Defibrillator. The equipment used to control heart muscles by giving a controlled electric shock.
That is a 5-syllable beast of a word.
Indeed it is. The key is the stress in that second syllable. D-F-I-B-rulator. The fib must be clear and strong. The tendency is to drop the R in the fourth syllable, turning it into lay-to, which is common in many UK dialects. But the full articulation of all 5 syllables is the standard we're aiming for.
Moving to tropical disease. Dengue, a disease caused by a virus carried by mosquitoes.
Dengue is a prime example of an imported term, this time from Southeast Asia, Malay, where the typical English phonetic rules just break down. The G is the trap.
Okay.
It should be pronounced D-E-N-G, or sometimes dengue, with the stress on the first syllable. You have to avoid the hard G sound you might expect in English.
Now, perhaps the most common scientific word in this list, and one of the most frequently mangled, even by native speakers, nuclear.
Ah, yes. Using, producing, or resulting from nuclear energy. This is a classic transposition error.
The dreaded nuclear.
Exactly. The error is swapping the L and the E, resulting in the infamous nuclear. The correct British pronunciation is firmly nuclear, a clear 3 syllables with a stress on the first syllable. This is a crucial marker of educated speech simply because the mistake is so widespread.
Let's talk measurement. Temperature. The measurement in degrees of how cold or hot a place or thing is.
This is a perfect illustration of what we call syllabic compression in fast speech. It's written as 4 syllables, but it's frequently reduced to 3.
Temperature.
Temperature. You know, the full 4-syllable temperature is technically the most precise standard, but quick British delivery often compresses those internal vowel sounds. The learner should aim for clarity in that internal poo sound, avoiding collapsing the word completely.
And a core element of modern technology, silicon.
This chemical element, a gray solid found in rocks and sand, is crucial. The challenge is differentiating it from silicone, the polymer used in sealants or cosmetics.
Right, 2 different things.
It should be silicone, with the stress on the first syllable and a very short final vowel, ensuring the listener understands you mean the fundamental element used in microchips.
Finally, in sports, triathlon.
A sporting event, competing in 3 sports. The temptation is to use a hard T sound for the "the," but it uses the standard "the" sound. It's pronounced triathlon, with the stress on the second syllable. This maintains the clarity of the Greek root, tri meaning 3 and athlon meaning contest. All right, moving to category G, geography and space. These are words describing large-scale regions or physical features where phonetic difficulty often stems from the long, sprawling nature of the word itself.
We have to address the Arctic and Antarctic poles. Arctic, the North Pole, and Antarctic, the South Pole.
This is a fascinating pair because they look so similar, but they deviate phonetically. Arctic retains both C sounds.
Arctic, Arctic.
However, the source confirms that in Antarctic, the first C is silent. It is pronounced Antarctic, dropping that middle C sound altogether.
Really? So Antarctic?
Yes. This subtle difference is a significant trap. The reason for the silent C is believed to be a historical effort to simplify the difficult NCT consonant cluster.
And the sprawling word for a group of islands? Archipelago.
This is a Greek-derived word where the chi makes a K sound. It's pronounced archipelago, stressing the third syllable.
I see.
The combination of the Greek etymology and just the sheer length of the word makes it difficult to parse phonetically without prior knowledge.
Next, the nautical term quay.
Defined as a platform in a harbor where boats come in to load. This word is almost perfectly non-phonetic.
It's another one of those.
It's pronounced exactly like the word quay. It's borrowed from Old French, and the spelling reflects a much older pronunciation that has entirely vanished in modern English.
And a word describing vegetation. Foliage.
The leaves of a tree or a plant. The confusion here is the liage ending. It should be pronounced F-O-H li-a. The critical error is often reducing that internal I or trying to sound out the age part like the word age. Okay, category H brings us to abstract and philosophical terms. These are essential for critical thinking, and they're often derived from ancient languages, which gives them challenging structures.
Starting with a fundamental framework word, paradigm. A typical example or pattern of something.
The key here is the silent G. It is pronounced paradim, keeping the G silent, just like in design or rain.
Oh, okay.
The confusion stems from the existence of the word diagram, which does retain the G sound. It is essential to master the silent G in paradigm for formal use.
Then the word for an unusual occurrence, phenomenon. A fact or event in nature or society, especially one not fully understood.
Being Greek in origin, the phi makes an F sound. The challenge is the length and the stress. Phenomenon, stressing the second syllable. The plural, phenomena, often confuses learners even further, but mastering the singular starts with placing that stress correctly.
A rhetorical device. Hyperbole, a way of writing or speaking that makes something sound better, more exciting, or more dangerous than it really is.
The common mistake is failing to sound the final E. People treat it like the silent E in table. However, hyperbole is a 4-syllable word. It's pronounced hyperbole, with that final E clearly sounded out.
Hyperbole.
Right. And a literary term that describes the sounds of language. Onomatopoeia. The fact of words containing sounds similar to the noises they describe.
This 5-syllable word is daunting, I'll admit. The rule of thumb is to break it down and stress the 4th syllable. On, mat, pe.
Wow.
It's a word that requires slow, careful practice because that sequence of vowels is highly unusual in English.
Finally, infamous.
Yeah.
Well known for being bad or evil.
The classic error here is stressing the wrong syllable. You often hear infamous, but the correct British pronunciation stresses the first syllable, infamos.
Infamous.
This is tied to the fact that the word is derived from the Latin infamus, which means not spoken of, and maintaining that original stress pattern is standard.
Okay, we've covered the highly abstract and technical. It's clear that in these fields, mispronunciation doesn't just reveal a linguistic gap, it kind of suggests an unfamiliarity with the core concept itself.
That's a good way of putting it. Now, for part 4, we move back to the common words that we use every day, but often trip up over, maybe because of differences between dialects or just strange spelling conventions.
Exactly. Category I focuses on planning and time. These are words we use constantly, yet their sound varies greatly, often due to those US versus UK differences.
Let's tackle the one that causes endless international disagreement. Schedule. A plan that lists all the work you need to do and when to do each thing.
The source, adhering strictly to the British standard, demands the she sound at the beginning. She-gd-yule.
schedule.
This is the non-negotiable differentiator from the widespread American schedule. And while the American version is creeping into UK offices, the established standard requires the soft she sound, which is believed to be derived from the word's French influence.
We also have itinerary, a plan of a journey, including the route and the places you visit.
This word often causes confusion because the initial letter is an I, but it is pronounced as the long I sound, I. The correct pronunciation stresses the second syllable, itinerary.
Itinerary.
It is essential to keep that second syllable clear to maintain the formal tone of the word.
And a tricky month, February.
The second month of the year. The standard British pronunciation tends to smooth out the transition between the B and the Y by dropping the first R sound, making it sound closer to February.
So not February.
Including both R sounds is technically possible, but it is often seen as overly deliberate or formal.
Finally, a time period, medieval, connected with the Middle Ages.
The issue here is that archaic E combination. It should be pronounced medieval, stressing the third syllable and maintaining that long E sound in the middle. Okay, moving to category J, logistics and waiting. These words describe things that move or things that stay still and make us wait, often with highly confusing spellings.
I have to dive right into the masterpiece of phonetic chaos. Queue, defined as a line of people, cars, and so on, waiting for something. 5 letters, 1 sound, and 4 of them are completely redundant. Before I saw the source material for this, I had to be taught this word. It feels like the English language is just testing your patience.
It truly is the ultimate non-phonetic word. Q-U-E-U-E is pronounced simply queue. It's a direct French borrowing from queue, meaning tail.
You just have to memorize it.
You do. It forces the learner to abandon all hope of applying phonetic rules. You simply must memorize it as a visual shape that equals 1 sound.
Next, vehicle, a thing used for transporting people or goods.
The challenge here is the silent H and the reduced vowels. While you might try to pronounce all 4 syllables, the standard British pronunciation is reduced to 3. V-E-A-key, all. The silent H is key here. Do not aspirate it.
And a word used in navigation, buoy, an object which floats on water to mark where it is safe for boats to go.
Like quay, this word is an auditory surprise. It is pronounced exactly like the word boy.
Really? Boy.
The spelling UE is entirely non-phonetic, again pointing to an ancient or borrowed origin, likely Old French, where the pronunciation has since simplified drastically. Our final descriptive grouping is Category K, descriptors of condition. These words help us describe the state of something or someone.
Starting with deterioration, decrepit, very old, and not in good condition or health.
The stress here is on the second syllable. D-K-R-E-P. The vowels must be clear, avoiding the tendency to merge the first 2 syllables.
Then the word for playful trouble, mischievous, enjoying playing tricks or annoying people.
This is one of the most common mispronunciation errors in modern English. The crucial mistake is the addition of an extra phantom syllable,
Turning it into.
the incorrect mischievous. It is strictly a 3-syllable word, with the stress firmly on the first syllable. Mischievous. You must train yourself to drop the I sound between the V and the O.
And the opposite of stress, a word we all strive for, comfortable.
Comfortable is another victim of syllabic compression, much like temperature. While it's written as 4 syllables, it is almost universally reduced in fast British speech to 3.
QMF-double.
The key here is the short U sound in the first syllable and the clear distinction between the 3 compressed units. If you try to enunciate all 4 syllables slowly, you'll just sound unnatural.
And a seasonal word to wrap this group up, wintry, typical of winter or cold.
The challenge here is making sure that try ending does not get reduced to a schwa. It should be pronounced wintry, maintaining that clear long H sound. We have now moved through over 90 complex words, covering silent letters, French traps, and linguistic compression. But before we synthesize our learning, we must address the 3 meta words that define the very challenge we just undertook.
These words define the success or failure of language learner. We'll look at pronunciation, etc., and specifiable.
If you struggle with the word pronunciation itself, the way a language is spoken, that is the ultimate irony. It is essential to avoid the mistake of including the word noun in the middle.
That's right.
It is pronunciation, stressing the 3rd syllable. The N sound is single, derived from the Latin nuntiare, to announce.
Next, etc. Used after a list to show that there are other things that could have been mentioned.
The critical error is the K sound that's often inserted, making it etc. The word is Latin for and the rest, and it should be pronounced et cetera, often shortened to etc. In spoken English. No K sound is allowed.
And finally, specifiable, something that can be stated especially by giving an exact measurement, time, date, or weight.
The complexity lies in handling that chia cluster and the multiple syllables. It should be pronounced specifiable, ensuring the stress lands clearly on the third syllable. And with that, we have successfully navigated 100 challenging words, focusing entirely on the rigorous standards of British English pronunciation as advised by the Oxford Learner's Dictionary.
This wasn't just a list, was it? This was an exploration of English linguistic history. We tackled the silent letters inherited from Latin in plumber and subtle. We managed French imports like faux pas and the silent S of rendezvous. We achieved technical precision with the required 3 syllables in nuclear. And we finally conquered the non-phonetic terror of coup.
And crucially, we reinforce precise definitions and sounds for the remaining words that underscore the breadth of the English vocabulary. We now know that mauve is a pale purple color.
Right.
That gauge is an instrument for measuring the amount or level of something.
And that cache is a specific high-speed part of a computer's memory.
We also briefly touched on deteriorate, to become worse, prostrate, lying on the ground and facing downwards, which uses a long AO sound.
Yes, and prelude, a short introductory piece of music, pronounced prelidiad, asterisk, to mark something with a little star symbol, avoiding that common mispronunciation asterisk.
On pseudonym, a writer's false name. With a silent P ordinance, a government rule. Ingenuity, the ability to invent.
Right, and fiscal, connected with taxes, with a clear E sound, and heinous, morally very bad, pronounced A-Y-nos.
The core takeaway that the source material really emphasized for you, the learner, is this. Your ability to produce the correct sound is fundamentally linked to your listening comprehension. By training your mouth to say razobari without the P, you are also training your ear to hear it accurately when spoken quickly by someone else.
So accurate articulation dramatically boosts both your active and your receptive language skills.
It really does.
And that brings us to our final provocative thought, which is rooted in one of the abstract words we noted in our sources. That word is moot. The definition of moot is unlikely to happen and therefore not worth considering.
So as we accept that language is a living, changing entity, that it's constantly absorbing new sounds, discarding old rules, and adapting to global influences, perhaps even slowly giving way to widespread errors, as we see with the espresso pronunciation.
Then we have to ask a challenging question.
We do.
Is the quest for perfect British English pronunciation, adhering rigidly to the Oxford standard, eventually going to become a moot point?
Or is adhering to these standardized forms the essential firewall we need? The thing that maintains linguistic clarity and prevents communication chaos as global dialects merge and shift.
It's a tension, isn't it, between formal precision and common usage?
It is. Something to consider the next time you hesitate over a silent B or try to navigate the nightmare of the Q.
Keep practicing, keep listening, and we'll see you next time for the next deep dive. Until then, watch your silent letters.